got a chance to see the AMC Halloween double feature. Oh my God, it was interesting. Let's talk about it right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I am your host, Frank Zenka, an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. And yeah, we're going to talk about this Halloween double feature that AMC was doing with Vincent Must Die and Hallow Road. So I don't like being in the theater for like 4 hours. So I was really like, I don't know. These are not really movies I really want to see. But I'm like, it's Halloween. Maybe I'll sit through it. There's also Begonia I haven't seen yet. And, Good Fortune. So I probably should have seen Begonia. So I'm going to try to do this 2-movie review within a period of what I normally do with one. Which I don't think is going to be very hard because the first movie, there's not really much I can talk about. This was a French film. It was called Vincent Must Die. It was actually released last year in France. They did a lot of work to Americanize this film for the release in America. And I think they AI'd the mouth because a lot of the dub actually matches the lips, which is impossible because the French have totally different enunciations of words that would never normally match. And they also said that one of the guys was from Boise. I'm like, what? It was so obvious that this was not shot in the United States. I mean, there was no getting around that. But all of the screens on their phones, all the computer screens, were all in English, which means they went out and reshot all that stuff, or at least re-implemented it. Whether it was screen grabs or whatever they were doing, and then maybe put a filter over it. I don't know. To have the pixels, digitization. I was trying to say, but it was getting tongue-tied. But yeah, so they did a really good job of trying to make it look like it was America, but it was not possible to make it look like it was in America. But I don't know why they even tried to do that. But I do appreciate them trying to match the mouths so it didn't take you out and then making everything in English rather than doing subtitles. Like I just watched on Netflix a Diane Kruger movie called In the Fade, and she speaks fluent German just like she speaks German fluent English. Of course, she's got a very long career, but here in the States. But obviously, she went back to Germany and did a film. And I thought it was pretty decent, but it was all subtitled. Every piece of it was subtitled. So I appreciate that the dub was so good in this that it didn't even take you out of it. And that may be dubs in the future where we're able to see, more and more films come across the pond or whatever that are across the pond is really England, but and in Europe that we couldn't even tell. We aren't going to even be able to tell outside of the police cars and things to that effect. So this movie, the script has so many problems. So many problems. This was shot for $4 million, and it follows a guy named Vincent who suddenly at work, this guy that he has eye contact with comes out of his office and hits him in the head with a computer. With a laptop. Then he has the same thing with the guy from HR comes over and takes a pen and stabs him in the wrist. And the problem is we never find out about the lore. So this is something that these people get, and there's a few of them. They're called Sentinels. They call themselves Sentinels, and he meets a guy that has the same affliction. And wherever he makes eye contact with people, they attack him until they can't see him anymore. Once he leaves the room or leaves the area, whatever, they go back to normal, right? And they don't remember what happened. And I have a $20 fix for this affliction. $20. That's all it's going to cost to solve this affliction. Sunglasses. Because if you need eye contact for this to happen, if you're behind dark sunglasses, nobody thought about this in the entire film. There's not one person that wears sunglasses in this entire film. Come on, man. Come on. And then the rules don't apply at certain times. Like, he has eye contact with many, many people over and over, and nothing happens to them. So it's like it just happens whenever the script needs it to, and other times it doesn't. And then he has this relationship with this this waitress, and she originally thinks he's crazy, and then of course she attacks him. He doesn't remember it, but meanwhile he slams her in the head, and she's immediately into him, like as if hurting her turned her on or whatever. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. She basically leaves her entire life for him, and she doesn't even know him. There's like no dates or anything that they can't even go on, And then she brings up a point saying, well, what, does anybody attack you more than once? I'm like, okay, maybe that's the deal, that if they attacked you, they're no longer susceptible to that. But no, she attacked him a second time. So even that was out the window. And again, we learn nothing about how any of this works. There's no lore. There's no nothing. This plot really makes no sense. It has a good setup, but it doesn't ever continue it to the point where you can predict what's going to happen to, like if you get bitten, you turn into a zombie. I mean, that's the rules. But here the rules are so lax. And the whole thing made no sense. And then the relationship with him and the girl made no sense. And I like their chemistry and stuff like that, but I was like, yeah, this is a way forgettable film, unfortunately. But I heard it did pretty well in France, but for here, I mean, for me, it didn't really work. All right, and then we're going to jump into Hallowed Road. This was Rosamund Pike, who has, she's done everything. She's been in so many things. And then you have Matthew Rhys, who was in The Americans with, I kind of call it's his wife, but it's not. And that's with Kerry Russell. They are in a relationship. They have kids together, but they're not married. So you can call them, I guess, a common law marriage or whatever. But anyway, he's in this with Rosamund Pike playing her husband. And I thought this was very, very well directed. Anyway, before we go into it any further, remember, give me a like, give me a subscribe if you can. If you can, ring that bell, ding, ding. Share this video out there. And on top of that, remember, too, that I'm a writer myself, and you can check out my 4-novel series, Destiny Aurora. It's a sci-fi epic extravaganza. And, yeah, I'm starting to playing with AI. I'm trying to animate some of the artwork I've had for many years. It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. But yeah, so we've checked that out. It's on Amazon. It's also on Audible. It was made into a board game, an RPG, and a graphic novel, if you'd like any of those things as well. But definitely check out the Amazon version and the Audible if you like that, because I have multiple voices. And then Tales of Ravenor, the Iron Witch, which is my fantasy novel, like Lord of the Rings, House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, all that stuff. If you like any of that genre, you're going to like this one as well. And I have huge battles in there and stuff like that as well, and dragons and magic and everything you'd possibly want. And then my new comic, Fairy Tales of Terror, which is now on late pledge. I am going to be retiring certain covers, so definitely jump in there now and go to fairytalesofterror.com. I do sign the physical copies. I also have digital copies available. And on top of that, we have Psycho Cinderella, and we have Killer Captain Hook. And then we have Tiger Lily chasing them all down. And I actually made STL figures that we give away with the campaign as well. So you can print these out. I think they came out pretty nice. Stuff like that. Definitely check all that out. And then I have my class this weekend tomorrow, but by the time I edit this, we're going to be done already. So no reason to mention that. But I do a filmmaking class every few months on independent filmmaking. So if you'd ever like to hear anything about that, let me know. in the comments section. All right, so let's jump back into the film. So Hallow Road, again, I was not really happy about sitting in the movie theater for 3.5 hours. But you know what was interesting was that this guy next to me, of course, was watching the football game. He was an older guy, and he had the sound up. I'm like, dude, turn that shit off, man. So at least he didn't give me any problem. But then we had these 4 teenagers that openly said that they were supposed to be in Black Phone 2, making a ruckus. Like 20 minutes into the film, they walked in. And normally I would come to security since I'm friends with all those guys out there. But the guy came from the back and he went to security himself. I was like, great, I don't got to do nothing. And they quickly whisked them out of there. So I was pretty happy about that. They came in multiple times too. They came, they left, they came, they left. 4 teenagers. I've been a teenager too, but I would never make a complete ruckus in the middle of a movie. But anyway, so this, I thought that because it's very, very hard to write a very, very contained film. So this takes place 98% inside a car. And it is very, very hard to write that because you have to keep things interesting. You have to keep things moving along. You have to keep twists coming. And at the same time, you got to make people not think that they're just sitting in a car. And that type of film is for certain people and not for others. Like certain people might feel that that is boring. And I got to say that I've of course watched very contained films, and some of them are boring, and you know where you could tell the writer is stretching just to get the runtime, and then the other times they are coming up with some decent ideas that are keeping everything going and having that sense of dread. There's a running clock, you know, on the screen, not physically, but emotionally and possibly even in a certain way. Like here, they're in a car, they're trying to get to a destination. We're seeing the amount of miles that are there. So there is a ticking clock in the time period of the drive. And I thought that was very interesting as well. And I thought the directing was a little bit outside of the box. So this was directed by Babak Anvari. He's a writer-producer, never seen anything that he's ever done. And it was written by William Gillies. Again, they all have half a dozen projects, if not a little bit more, under their belt, but I've seen nothing that they've done. And but I gotta say, the directing, he did do some camera angles and stuff like that. He stayed on these eyes. They had a lens where they could change the back to the front of the car, make it stretch. I like that shot quite a bit. I like the shot of the woods in the beginning. I like the whole shot because in the very beginning of the film, all we see is the repercussions of a fight that has happened. And it's not a physical fight, but an emotional fight between family members. And we have a broken glass. So we see the remnants of like a dinner with a broken glass on the floor. Somebody half cleaned it up. And I love all that where we're setting up this sense of dread. And there are only 2 main characters in the film that we physically see. 2. And that is Matthew and Rosamund. That's it. And the other parts that we see, the daughter that they're desperately trying to find, so she only appears on the phone. That's it. We never physically see her. We see her in pictures in the beginning because when we're going through the house, they show the photographs, and then we physically see the phone with her avatar. That's it. That's the only time you see. Everything else is a pure voiceover. And then there's another couple that we hear on the phone. But if you watch the credits, Rosamund Pike and Matthew Rhys did that voice too. So, and then we see cops at the end, but that's it. You know, the cops are in one scene. That's it. And so the most part is really 2 people in the entire film. So this movie was a $3 million budget. Good for them. It's an English film. It's a British film. It's not American. And again, they had a fight with the daughter. The daughter rushed out, took the dad's car, so they're left with her car, the wife's car, which is Rosamund's car. And it's been hours, and suddenly they get a call that their daughter hit someone and possibly killed them. But meanwhile, she is 44-minute drive away. So this whole film takes place in the point of them getting in the car and trying to reach the daughter at the other end. So it's an hour and a half movie, but they stretch it out to where it's really a 45. Well, I'm assuming too that they're going 60, which they're not for a lot of it, and because they're taking back roads and stuff like that. And most of it would have taken an hour, but it's stretched to an hour and a half. And the first 15 minutes that don't take place in the car, they take place in the house. So really, they got, I think they did a mixture of, process trailer, and process trailer means that the car is on top of a trailer with somebody else driving the actual trailer. So they only pretend that they're driving. And then a lot of it is, I think, volume wall. But they did some practical driving, but I don't think the actors were actually driving because they did show through the front windshield, but you didn't see them driving. It wasn't like from the back seat. It was from the front. So I think they did a mixture of all of that. Some practical driving, some process trailer, and some volume wall. I think it was across the board. And they did some really cool stuff, too, with the reflections. It's supposed to be reflecting on their face. And then a phone, and no phones do this that I know of, where it blinks on and off with the voice. So the beats of the voice. And so I don't think any phones do that. But I thought that was kind of cool. So, again, the director really thought out of the box with a little bit of imagination here to make this exciting. And I thought there was enough twists and turns. We find out what the fight was about. We find out, what the daughter had done, what had caused the accident, how the father is trying to protect her, because it really is like the worst thing that can happen to a parent is how to protect their child when the child could very well go to jail. And what do you do while you're still an hour away trying to drive and having her on the phone saying all these things are happening? It's pretty amazing. And then we go into a little bit, I think, of supernatural. There's a little bit of a supernatural twinge to it where we really don't know what happened at the end for the most part. But it's I found it very interesting, but I can also see how people could find it boring. Like when I walked out, I talked to a couple of people, and they didn't really like it, but I really did. So I'm going to give this film a 7. So it kept my attention, and after the first movie, it was definitely a huge difference, even though it was a smaller budget. Anyway, that's it for me. I hope you guys had an awesome Halloween. Definitely check out my stuff on Amazon. If you'd like to also check out Fairy Tales of Terror, it's fairytalesofterror.com, and you'll see the late pledge store there. And also remember, too, to give me that like, give me that thumbs up, and all that stuff. And I will see you guys on the next one. Have an awesome week. All right, bye-bye.